Welcome back to the News at 10. Some Edo State residents from Obayato community are appealing to the state governor to provide a secondary school and a health center for their community. The residents told Channels Television that the absence of these is fueling rural-urban migration and is endangering lives of the dwellers in the community. In a swift reaction, the Edo State Commissioner for Education asked the community to make a formal request to have their complaints addressed.
Now you're talking.
This is Obayato 1 community in Ikubauka local government area of Edo State. The area is home to between 300 and 500 people whose main occupation is farming, with produce like cassava grown in large quantities. The processed product is then taken to Benin City, some 14 kilometers from Obayato, for sale. However, life for this community's dwellers seems far from satisfactory. Lack of basic amenities is leading to steady rural-urban drift. A glaring feature here is the absence of a secondary school and a health center. These children are on the way back from a secondary school in the neighboring village. It's a 2-hour walk home.
From here, trek go Yanamo. Early morning, I come up for 6 o'clock. I school for after 8.
Those who can afford bicycles complain of the route's rough terrain.
Every other time they go school because of the stress. The stress too much. So they both go school. There are 3 times in a week.
The people believe their needs are simple.
Say may bring us secondary school so that we know go they trek all this kind of hot sun, rain. It rain sometimes. Rain go see beat our books if we don't carry umbrella.
We don't have a setter. At least we have many pregnant women here. There's only God that help us. We know we did pray for bad. Sometimes pregnant women, some of them are labor. So
the Edo State Commissioner for Education, however, says he was not aware there's such a problem. He advises the community to make a formal request.
I'm happy they're not complaining about the primary school because they already have. But when we get a formal request or complaint, then we can deal with that issue. Because the government that we have today is interested in putting schools as close to the people as possible. And the ones we have currently, we have upgraded the infrastructure. So as far as today is concerned, we feel that most of the areas have been covered. But if there's any specific case, then we can look at it on its merits.
Obayato 1 only recently became a beneficiary of 24-hour power supply, courtesy of a solar power project partly funded by the Bank of Industry. For these people, this new request for key facilities, if met, would further improve their lives, taking them closer to a brighter future.
Now you're talking.
Following the recent Supreme Court's judgment affirming the selection of Alhaji Mufutahu Gbadamosi of Anilelerin compound as the 24th Olofa of Offa, the people of the community are happy with the ruling. However, the Olubese ruling house staged a peaceful protest expressing surprise at the ruling, which they say could rewrite the history of the community.
It's been 6 years of protracted leadership battle, and for the man in the eye of the storm, at least his nightmares are over, which is coming on the heels of a Supreme Court judgment affirming that Anileleri ruling house are the bona fide custodians. So Mufutahu Gbadamosi 6 years will now continue uninhibited. The jubilant community members couldn't be more grateful.
I thank the people of my community, both male and female. I thank them for supporting me, and for the other ruling house, I enjoin them to come closer to me so that we work together to grow the town together. That in this case, there's no winner. The Supreme Court only affirmed the ways of our selection. The Supreme Court did never make me a winner and make them a loser. No, but we all won the whole town. As you can see today, whole time you cannot recognize who is Olugbeje and who is Anelere. We are all of our sons and daughters. So they should all come together without fear or favor.
However, some kilometers away from the palace, members of the Olugbensi ruling house staged a peaceful protest carrying placards denouncing the Supreme Court judgment, which they describe as shocking. They wondered how the history of a community could be rewritten as they have ruled for over 400 years.
You should be wary, the Supreme Court should be wary of them being the apex courts and lay good foundation for the lower courts. We institute a case, you throw the case back to the community, we should meet ourselves and advise the state government accordingly. The same community you said has no historical backing.
Maybe a case of tradition versus the law, depending on what side the contestants are. What is clear, however, is that the ruling of the country's apex court will have to stand.
Rapid urbanization places remarkable strain on housing and service land. By 2030, about 3 billion people, which translates to about 40% of the world's population, will need proper housing and access to basic infrastructure. These are facts from a United Nations Habitat report, which our correspondent Emmanuel Ere tries to figure out as he visits some waterfront communities in Rivers State, where the people have lived without basic amenities for a long time.
Port Harcourt, the capital of Rivers State, lies along Bonny River in the Niger Delta, with an urban population of about 1.4 million people and a density of 1,500 square kilometers. An estimated 480,000 people live in the waterfront communities in the oil-rich city. Welcome to Bundu Waterfront Community, founded some 40 years ago, a typical urban slum where many say anything goes. Many of the people here live in shanties with no proper toilets, no drainage or good water systems, as well as other basic amenities. A permanent stench hangs in the air. This 56-year-old father of 5 tries to clean the gutter in front of his home with little success.
Well, that water you see is soak away water. Everybody put pipe from first junction there. All the pipe for bedroom enter this gutter.
Alhaji Fataya Yorinde is a retiree of the Nigerian Ports Authority. He says he has been here since 1970.
Going to railway, they build house on the top of the gutters, they build house anyhow, they block the gutter and short. See where we are living now, gutters. They direct all the gutter is blocked.
The situation is similar in this settlement in Bogo community, as we talk to some families here.
Although the area was flooding before, but since they have drained the gutters and the canals, it's not as before. What we are experiencing now is when the canal overfull, so the water will be revising back.
The Commissioner of Housing in the state tells Channels Television that bringing development to waterfront communities has been a challenge.
We won't continue to live in the gutter for too long. I think that when the time comes, the government will be able to sit down with the people and agree with them on the modality for development.
For this planning expert, government should enlarge the scope of development.
Countries like India, Brazil, these are developing countries too, just like Nigeria. So it's a very good plan for government to put its resources and plan for the slums, because there's no way their economy can sustain more than what they can show, because the rural and urban drift have to occur.
With a growing population and an increase in housing deficit, experts say government should do more towards improving infrastructure and standard of living in the informal settlements. Emmanuel Ere, Channels Television News.
The Anambra State government has announced plans to partner some Chinese investors to improve development of agriculture, power and health. This was made known when the United Nations Industrial Development Organization paid a courtesy visit on the governor, Willie Obiano, at the governor's lodge in Offa. At the occasion, the governor stressed the government's determination to sustain efforts aimed at improving security within the state.
Governor Willie Obiano walked in to meet the delegation from China and the United Nations Development Organization, UNIDO, who have come to discuss investment opportunities in Anambra State. After the presentation, the Chinese businessmen list their areas of interest.
Engineering, procurement, and contracting for infrastructures, power plants, and agriculture, irrigation, and also the gas processing plants in your excellent states.
For Governor Obiano, the intention is welcome and says Anambra has more potentials.
We have the largest gas reserve in Africa. The largest gas reserve in Africa. And we're interested in, some exploration. And we are blessed with some, at the last count, 16 minerals. We had a good presentation from an expert, which hasn't been in any manner parts. And they are in very good commercial quantity. What we are trying to do is to introduce high quality and high yielding grains, cassava, which in many years, because of recycling, will eventually, ensure that all the rice that we are producing here is topmost.
From all indications, it appears Anambra State, from partnerships such as this, is geared to stand out as one of the largest contributors to the nation's GDP.
Commercial bus drivers in Abuja, the nation's capital, say the recently concluded Eid al-Fitr holidays recorded low turnout of travelers. At the popular Jabi Motor Park in the city, many commercial vehicles were packed with the hope of getting passengers going out of town, while a few were seen returning from different parts of the country.
This is the popular Utako Motor Park in Abuja, where residents get commercial vehicles to different parts of the country. Most of the vehicles at the park today are empty, while a few are lucky to have passengers going out of the Federal Capital Territory. While some of the passengers say they use the public holiday to visit their loved ones in the nation's capital, others say they embarked on a business trip which has been unsuccessful, hence the need to go back to their base.
I came to see my friend in Abuja here, and I'm going back to Kaduna right away now.
Business. I came for business and the Salah break here in Abuja, but things are difficult here. I'm going back home to Kaduna.
This man and his family just returned from Kaduna, but declined to speak on camera. Drivers at the park attribute the low turnout of passengers to what they described as economic hardship in the country. They want government to urgently turn around the nation's economy.
Now, even if today where people are going back to school, students are going back to school, now we get some people from Zaria, where are going back to Zaria, a student are go back. Now we get some pajas today. If they talk about Salah, no paja because of no money. People are crying for money. And again, we driver, we are crying for money, no passenger, no drop.
The lack of money is the reason why people do not patronize us. We were supposed to go home for Salah, but we didn't. So the government should please help us, the masses.
While the transport owners and travelers are grateful for a peaceful holiday, they pray that the next holiday will be financially better than this one. Amaka Okafor, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Andy Murray makes history as he becomes the first British man to win multiple Wimbledon single titles since Fred Perry in 1935. We'll have more in sports news. Please stay with us.